Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Cast, where I'm your host, Casty Strader. And today, on Tuesday, we react to what was a ridiculous weekend of football. I do not want to. I don't want to. I don't even like this weekend, even though it's ridiculous. Like, hey, it was ridiculous. I don't understand what's going on in the NFL. Who knows who's gonna go and win anything? Good lord. But we're going to do this like we usually do it, you guys. And I'm just going to go through the list. As you can see, I have all these tabs open. I'm not really going to look at too many stats, but I'm going to lay my personal input based on what I saw out of these games and my thoughts. Of course, we start off with Saturday's game. Vikings visiting Cincinnati. Cincinnati not playing as well as I thought they would. Clearly, Nick Mullins outdueled Jake Browning. The only discrepancy I would maybe say is that, he threw 2 picks. But this was a game the Vikings should have won. Goodness, only missing 7 passes the whole game. You've got Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson all contributing. The triple threat on this team. And then you've got Higgins, who really didn't do that much until late in the game. And then Chase gets hurt. You look at this stat line and you think, oh yeah, there's no way that the Bengals can win, right? Think again. I still don't understand how they won. It looked like such a fluke to me. This didn't look like the hot team that has, a good amount of momentum. I mean, I'm sure they're glad they got the win because, lo and behold, they really need it in a stacked AFC. Congrats, Browning. You probably got the win that you needed, otherwise it could break the camel's back. Congrats. Kitty goes rawr. Colts Pittsburgh. I don't have much to say about this game. Besides, oh my goodness, this guy, let me find him. Where is his stat line? Where is the dude who... Do they not even have him on here? Wait a minute. Gilbert, compare her Big Ben. Boy, I can't... Oh, Kazee, man. Kazee is suspended the rest of the year. Because, lo and behold, you can't just hit people high all year long and expect for, the league to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to give you a slap on the wrist, a fine every single time. You're literally, there's been so many players that, look like, that are people that are, I wouldn't say like superstars in this league, but they're people that people love to watch. And what are you doing, Kazee? You're hitting them in the shoulder, the neck area, the head. What a doofus. I don't know if you're trying to instill a toughness into a Pittsburgh defense, but it's clearly not working. The Colts still handle you guys. Yeah, Gardner had kind of a mediocre day besides 3 touchdowns, but goodness gracious, 0 run D. And by 2 people, Tyler Goodson and Trey Sermon. Zach Moss, oh yeah, I'm not gonna run it that much. But goodness, yeah, you just get torched. Which is honestly what I would have done if I was the Colts as well, because hey, we don't want TJ Watt to be breathing down our necks all game. And then of course you look at Trubisky. Another kind of pitiful game, not a bad average, but like 2 picks. Yeah, I can completely understand why they're going to start Mason Rudolph next week. Lions Broncos. Now, here was a game that I predicted the Broncos would win because, lo and behold, the Lions couldn't stop the Bears the Sunday prior. And I thought people were saying that the Broncos, Russell Wilson, were legit. But tell me this, is 18-32 that legit to you? With 1 touchdown? Looks like a very pleb of a quarterback. Yeah, they finally got Jerry Jeudy involved. But, based off how many targets he received, he could have, been cooking a lot better. I don't think Denver is a team that is going to go anywhere, to be honest with you. I think all of that Russell Wilson hype, thank God that they, that they lost, in my opinion. Because screw Russell Wilson, screw all the hype he has around him, because he's really not that good for how much they're paying him. And then you look at Goff. Now, he looks like he should maybe be getting paid what Russell Wilson is based off of this game. I understand that they have a very great offense. Their offense is the strength of this team. But hey, Goff, you did them proud. And you made them believe that, oh, maybe I should be the QB next year. And that they've been patient with you and you have continued to be resilient. Congratulations, Lions. You have rebounded nicely off of a few troubling weeks. Dolphins, Jets. I don't remember who it was, but I was watching the pregame, and I heard that this was supposed to be a gritty game. Yeah, they said, oh, if Zach Wilson plays the way that he played, in the rain against the Texans, yeah, it'll be an interesting game, but guess what? He did not play like that. And of course, he gets knocked out, unfortunately. But yeah, Tua, I think, was like perfect throughout most of the game, if I remember seeing the stat line correct. And who cares? We don't have Tyreek Hill. We have Jalen Waddle, which I've been saying this. They don't need Tyreek. This is already a speedy, lethal offense that is put over the top with Tyreek. And Jalen Waddle scorching a Jets defense that is really good and doesn't have to worry about Tyreek, so they're going to focus Waddle. Still scorches them. But yeah, congratulations, Dolphins. You whooped on the New York Jets and ended their playoff hopes, their slim playoff hopes. Texans, Tennessee. Now, this was a crazy game. No, whatchamacallit, no CJ Stroud, a game that they solely want to win as the Titans are, continue to play, having just beat the Dolphins on Monday night. I don't know if that took it out of them. I don't think it did. This was obviously a gritty divisional matchup. Will Levis sacked 7 times, taken out of the game with an ankle injury. I guess, it's not super serious, fortunately. I would hate that for Will Levis. But goodness gracious, Devin Singletary playing well and making sure that the Texans have a shot at winning it in overtime, going till the very last play. What a crazy thriller of a game. And I mean, I love that, Case Keenum came in and he played pretty well. Davis Mills, when they put him in to throw, I thought it was funny that, he just got sacked. And they're like, oh, does he? And I mean, I even said, like, does Case Keenum have the arm? And they're like, no, they're putting in Davis Mills, which I thought was interesting by Ryans, but probably the right play. And I do feel like, using your personnel to their strengths. And if your starting QB doesn't have the arm, then don't put him in for a Hail Mary where he's just gonna duck it. He's gonna throw a duck downfield. That's not gonna be, it's gonna be easily undercut or whatever. Yeah, congrats, Texans. You keep your playoff hopes alive in a tough, gritty game. Oh boy, this game makes me want to cry. I think that Jordan Love played fine. 29 of 39, not the best completion percentage that, I would like. Yes, he had a fumble. It was But to be honest with you, the fumble kind of came at a point where it's like, oh man, it was still kind of a long shot for victory. And the announcer still wanted to say, I just don't know how Matt Ryan and Barber, could say that, oh, they still have a chance. And it's like, there was a slim chance, but goodness gracious, not that much of a chance. The Buccaneers, I'll give them credit. They came ready to play. Yes, they're winning their division. They clearly are, probably the team to win their division if they're getting hot right now. But I mean, I don't want to say that they're not hot, but obviously my defense had its own issues. And who the heck knows? Apparently, they talked to Quay Walker and he didn't really want to say too much about it, but it seemed to me like, Quay might have been somewhat to blame, which is surprising because this has never been an issue before. But from what I could tell, they were running the same defense and the same crap was happening all game, where Godwin's like, oh yeah, I'm going to put up as many yards as I had in like the last 5 games or something like that. But the only takeaway I can say from this game is that Love will throw it to whoever's available. With injuries to Reed, with injuries to Reed, and then even I think that Dotavian Wicks was hobbling a little bit, but still put up like a career day. And, Tucker Kraft, doing Tucker Kraft things. And Bo Melton making a catch, which is, nuts. Most people don't know who this guy is. Blake Heath making some good catches. But the only takeaway I have is that, Jordan Love will distribute the ball well. And that he's not going to promote favorites. If you're open, he's getting the ball to you. But yeah, goodness, this game full of, riddled with a ton of mistakes from the Packer defense. And, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that it's the end of the season, but like winning out is almost pivotal for my Packers to get into the playoffs now. Because a 9-8 record will probably cut it in the NFC, unless the majority of the middle of the team NFC teams win the rest of their games. But goodness, what a mind-boggling game. Looking at the Giants and the Saints. Goodness gracious, the Giants look legendary against my Packers the week before. DeVito looks like, oh yeah, this guy's going to sling it, and he's going to sling it to his heart's content, putting up yards. But oh no, we play the Saints, who clearly have a much tougher defense than us Packers, and DeVito doesn't run all over. Yeah, he has a good average, but he obviously didn't break containment a lot. Saquon doesn't get anywhere running it. And your leading receiver is Slayton, even though Waller comes back this game. My goodness gracious. I do get that he was sacked 7 times. This looks like the Giants that we've seen all year. Why couldn't my Packers get this form of the Giants? But yeah, it's crazy to me because not even New Orleans looked insane. I mean, you got 23 or 28, a high completion percentage from Derek Carr, but you don't have anybody over 70 yards in the yard department from rushing and receiving. But hey, it's nice to win and not have to put up a ton of monster yards. Panthers Falcons. Now, this was a game that I was like, man, the Panthers can win. Because I don't think that Ritter is the guy. And this further solidifies that. I think that Ritter, with having an insanely better cast than Bryce, should have easily had the same amount of yards on less completions. I mean, I guess he did almost have the same amount of yards, with less completions, but goodness gracious, you don't get sacked. You're not really pressured all too much. but you can't do anything, and your leading receiving threat is Jonnu Smith. But yeah, let's fumble it all the time on Atlanta, which really surprises me. And overall, this just looked like an insanely sloppy game by two sloppy teams. Let's hope that my Packers don't fumble as much as the Falcons do when they play Carolina next week. Browns Bears. Good Lord. The Bears were giving Cleveland a run for their money. Yes, Justin Fields was 19 of 40 with 2 picks, sacked 3 times, but it's against one of the top defenses in the league. You know, with an O-line that is clearly still a liability on this team. And you got DJ Moore saying after the game, I don't think there's any better quarterbacks in next year's draft than Justin Fields. Which I'm not gonna lie, I probably agree with. I feel like Fields, when he's competitive, when he's hot, he does a bunch of good things. And his coaching is just a colossal failure to him. And this has been the way for the Bears for years. I'm actually on the side of Fields. And that's not because I think, if I, support this guy or make, where that, I support this guy because I really don't think anyone's going to see this that, is in a position to be like, we should keep Fields. And I'm not saying it because I think, he's going to throw like 3 picks against my Packers year in and year out whenever we play or something. No, I don't think that, some of his throws, they're errant, but like he's not as bad as everyone portrays him to be. But enough about that. I think that the Bears, they have a tough decision with the draft. It would not surprise me if they traded down with the number 1 overall pick. But yeah, looking at Cleveland, they got to feel lucky that they won this game. Yes, they passed for a crap ton of yards. Clearly couldn't get into the end zone that much. Flacco under duress with 4 sacks, but still throwing for 374 yards because no run game at all. And David Njoku finally having a great game. Amari Cooper doing what Amari Cooper does. Marquise Goodwin, 1 reception for 57 yards, escaping containment. But yeah, what a crazy game. And Flacco being the humble guy that he is, I guess now at 38, giving all the credit to the defense. Which rightfully so. You put up this many yards, but you only have 20 points. It's kind of nuts. But yeah, shout out to their defense because this easily could have went into overtime. Chiefs, New England. I'll say this. It wasn't a pretty game by the Chiefs. One of Mahomes' interceptions, yes, coming off, hitting the hands of the wide receiver. Flashbacks to week 1, and Mahomes clearly still kind of frustrated. Bailey Zapp playing okay for a backup, getting sacked 4 times, especially with no running game to speak of. And his best wideout being Hunter Henry, who's more of a security blanket wide receiver and not your star guy. But yeah, finally, well, the Chiefs, they, get out of their funk. They still have some drop issues. There was some calls that, they should have been called this type of thing. But it also, you see this play here, it was a bizarre thing that happened. And you see, Taylor Swift getting mad over this thing. But yeah, I really think that, the Chiefs needed this win. If they lose this game, good Lord, they go to 8-6. which is crazy. When was the last time we didn't see a season where the Chiefs only had 2 or 3 losses by the end of the season? It's been a while, I'm pretty sure. But congrats to them, and hopefully, this helps put the drama behind and you keep on improving. Make sure you're not dropping balls. 49ers Cardinals. The Niners looked like they were playing with their food in this game. They really, I mean, it looked to me like they should have ran away with it early on, especially with an early Kyler Murray interception. But good Lord, how in the world did you let up this much rushing, as San Francisco? That's got to be a little troubling, especially when there's better teams with better run games than Arizona. No offense to them, they ran it very well this game. But that was the strength of their team. I mean, Kyler only putting up 211, still doing Kyler things. 2 picks, not good. But yeah, you as the Niners, I mean, it's the same thing with another game we're going to talk about down the line. But hey, the Niners, yeah, play with your food. It's going to bite you in the bud in the postseason more than likely. But and I mean, because I can't really say impressive win when you give up 29 to a Cardinals team that's 3-10 coming in. Rams Washington. Now this was insane to me. Sam Howell going out of the game, Jacoby Brissett coming in, nearly bringing them back when I wasn't surprised at all that the Rams, were handling them this game. A defense that's depleted, a defense that can't force pressure on Stafford because, they traded all their pass rushers. Even though I guess Stafford was sacked 3 times. But hey, good win for the Rams to continue their playoff hopes. Because if they had lost this one, I mean, goodness, they're in about the same boat as the Packers, a long shot. And especially with the Packers holding a tiebreaker over this team. But the Rams, they could become hot at the right time, and I think this is a team that's a little dangerous if they become hot. With all their weapons, Stafford, throwing a good ball, a high percentage ball, and impressive win. Bills Cowboys. This is what I was saying earlier, and I've been saying all year, is that this team played like their logo. They were a 1-star team here in Buffalo. A true 1-star team. Dak Prescott, oh yeah, this guy should be the front runner for MVP, people were saying after the Eagles game a week prior. Oh yeah, Dak Prescott is incredible. Oh, a little bit of adversity with Buffalo, and hey, you're getting destroyed, Dak. Sorry to say. And it's like, it's kind of nuts because, you have a little bit of a run game this game, but you can't run it that much because you're forced to pass against a well-coached Buffalo defense. Because, look at this. Even Josh Allen, he doesn't have to throw for over 100 yards. We're just going to let James Cook cook. Dalvin Cook's brother, looking like an absolute menace. And his longest being 24. So this isn't even really that inflated off of one fat run. This is him destroying them the whole game. The one-man wrecking crew. But this is what I've said about the Cowboys all year. Whenever they go up against a team that can run the ball or doesn't get behind a ton and runs against them, they are highly susceptible. This is why I don't think that the Cowboys can go far into the playoffs. They are clearly a playoff team because they beat the teams that are worse than them really easily. But if they get met with adversity in a solid run game, oh boy, they just look like, they don't look like a 10 win team. at this point in the year. But yeah, a lot of unknowns in the NFC, besides maybe the 49ers, who, yeah, they play with their food, but they have the most talented team. But what the heck, Dallas? I thought you were supposed to be America's team, but you're not my team. Ravens, Jacksonville. Sunday Night Football. Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball a crap ton. I think that this is a major issue with this team. I think that they lean on Lawrence way too much, and he gets punished for it. He ended up getting a concussion off of the one sack that they gave up, but it's like throwing it 43 times for only 264 yards. That's just a sign that he is having to make a lot of tough throws. And then he's your leading rusher. And, you're going up against a team like the Ravens where it's like, oh, yeah, we can run all over you guys, 250 yards rushing. And, only 171 passing from Jackson. It's insane to me how much, the Ravens can kill with their running game. And this is why I think Lamar Jackson's, one of the front runners for MVP. He doesn't have to pass it. He can run it just fine. And he destroys teams. And they just can't prepare for this for him. And then you've got Lawrence with his, fumble issues. Because otherwise, I feel like with no turnovers, this could have been a close game. But hey, you're a pass-heavy team, and Lawrence obviously, feels like, man, I can't make all of these throws. I got to run it sometimes, which runs the risk of fumbles. Good job, Baltimore. You really solidified the reason why you can win games. Stout defense and solid run game. Seahawks, Eagles. Over in Seattle at CenturyLink Field, if they still call it that. I don't think they still call it that. Drew Lock. Oh boy. Playing pretty well. Kenneth Walker running all over Philadelphia, even though I think that they're supposed to have a decent run defense. They're never good when you let up 4.5 yards a carry off of 19 carries. Hurts clearly tried to make things happen and doing, good things on his legs. And no passing to speak of, really. A couple guys, in the 50-yard range. And just nothing really to speak of, which is nuts to me, considering you have A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert has been in the lineup now for, I think this was his second game back. And you've got 3 really good weapons. You can't tell me most quarterbacks wouldn't admit that they would want to be a quarterback on this team with this much, receiving threats. But hey, Jackson Smith-Njigba coming up with a crazy catch to, seal the game. I know somebody who's a Seattle fan. I know a few Seattle fans. They probably aren't even happy that they won this game. Who knows, though? Maybe if Drew Lock can come out and emerge and, show promise, maybe they won't even draft a QB. But by the look of things right now, they're not going to be high enough to get any QB worth noting, except to bring in as a QB competition, which you just never want at QB, to be honest. You want to know who your guy is. But yeah, goodness, Philadelphia. And I saw a headline today while I was at the gym. Oh, I just don't think that we're invested enough from Jalen Hurts. And that is mind-boggling to me. A team that should have won the Super Bowl last year, over 10 months removed now, is saying that they're not invested enough. I don't know what to say about it. Because it's not like you were dominated this game, clearly. But Seattle does have the talent to cause problems for teams that aren't playing their best. The receiving threats, Metcalf, JSN, and then Lockett, who had a quiet game, but goodness gracious me, if I was a Philadelphia fan, I would be worried sick right now. I do not know what I would think, and I mean, it's great. I mean, the only reassuring thing is that, like, this team can't get knocked out of the playoffs. They have clinched a playoff spot. They've clinched a playoff spot as of right now. But good Lord, what in the world is happening in Philadelphia? Sirianni has to get control of this team. And it's like, man, if there was an award for like biggest collapses, like I would say maybe the Eagles. Maybe the Eagles, but it could also be, I mean, the Cowboys with how many times they've gotten just smothered this year against good teams. But that is it for the satire, guys. And I am going to quickly go and we are going to analyze. We're going to analyze Thursday night, which is between 7-7 teams. But don't think that this game means nothing. It definitely means something. The Saints having obviously the impressive performance last week against a Giants team that just overall struggled, but was hot, the week before. And then the Rams team, same thing. Hot and good against a Washington team. But hey, looking at this, I'm skeptical of who to pick on who to win. I think that Los Angeles, it's going to be a tougher game for them, even though it's at home, because I think New Orleans has a way tougher defense than the Washington has, especially with Washington, trading their players away earlier in the year. And I think that Stafford is going to have a good amount of issues because I think that New Orleans plays a tough, rugged style of game. The Rams like to throw it over the middle a lot. Stafford has always been kind of a throw over the middle technique sort of thrower to me. He does throw a good deep ball, don't get me wrong, but the Rams aren't built like that. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, yes, Puka can kind of get open downfield, but they don't really have your traditional stretch the field type guy. It's like the only dude they're missing on their team. And I think that if you're going to dink and dunk on the Saints, it's going to be a really tough offensive game for the Rams. And then the Saints. They have a pretty good offense. Derek Carr hasn't screwed the pooch this year, really, that much. And they came off an impressive win last week. But depending on who we get from Carr, what kind of Carr we get, I think that this is going to still be probably a close game. I think, you would go with Saints if they perform to their potential. I think that Saints have it. But obviously, not every team is always going to play up to their potential, and that's probably why they have the Rams in here. Because I do think Stafford is the more consistent quarterback. They clearly have the better offense. And their defense is good enough to where, it's not going to be a walkthrough by the Saints. So with that said, looking at this game, and the last meeting was last year in 2022. I don't think that really matters all too much, to be honest. It was a Saints win. But the Rams clearly struggled last year, but with injuries and all that. But looking at this, I do think that I'm gonna go with the Rams, but I'm gonna go with the Rams by a slim margin. It's going to be slimmer than this, and I'm going to say that they're going to win 24-23 as 1-point favorites over the Saints. Because I do think that the Saints, they play in a really loud stadium. They They play in a really loud stadium. I don't think SoFi is as, rambunctious as the Saints. And I think that they have the ability to shut up the crowd. Doing their trick plays, kind of keeping the Rams on edge or whatever, doing kind of short action plays, and then stretching the field with, I'm trying to remember his name, Shaheed. I think that Shaheed is going to be kind of an X factor in this game. But I also think that the Rams don't really have a guy to guard Olave, who you could say, he's having a good year. But I expect that this kind of talent, this guy, could easily have, 1,400 yards in a season, assuming the offense always performed, which hasn't always been the case for the Saints. Which is why I'm giving kind of the favorite to the Rams, because their pass game is clearly, way more consistent this year. And they've been doing a good job of keeping their O-line healthy. Even with the wide receiver injuries that they've had, they've still done a very consistent job. And I like Stafford being the guy to distribute to these guys, because he is really good at getting guys the ball down low and having them run after catch with proper technique. Whereas Carr, I'm sorry, but I'm still not convinced. Especially, I think it's like his 9th or 10th season in the NFL. I think it's his 9th season. But that is my prediction for Thursday Night Football. Now, I don't have much time, to be honest, before I have to go, you guys. But if you have any comments, questions, or anything like that, then now's the time to ask or comment. But otherwise, this last weekend of football, my goodness. My goodness. And just to put it into perspective, goodness, we only have 4 or 5 teams eliminated from playoff contention at this point in the year. Can make for 3 more weeks, guys, and then we are to the playoffs. But I want to thank you all for watching. And this concludes this episode of CastCast. I will see you guys on Friday. And as always, go Pack Go.